All right, you guys. Back with another episode of the Well Balanced series. Today I'm talking to Jennifer, and I'm super excited to talk with her. Why isn't this working? Here we go. What in the world is happening? Try that. And I love you too, Mom. Not wanting to connect today. There we go.
Hello.
Hey, girl. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Sorry, that was horrible technology.
It's okay. I was like freaking out. I'm like, is it my phone?
Oh, no. I was like, I don't know. It wasn't letting me add you in or accept you. I don't know why. What's going on. Anyways, happy Tuesday.
Yeah, happy Tuesday. How are you today?
I am good. It's finally 50s here this morning. So that was amazing because
Yeah.
it's been so hot.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Congrats, first of all, on getting married. That's so
Thank
exciting.
you. Thank you. Yeah.
Where did you go on your honeymoon?
Key West, Florida.
Oh, nice. I love Key West. That's really
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure
It was fun.
the beach was really nice too and
Yeah.
getting out. So I saw
Yeah.
when I was posting yesterday, the thing, I was like, oh, her name changed. I got to go back and get her new name.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
made sure to do that.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm so glad to have you, and
Yeah.
it's nice to meet you for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So if you've watched any of these episodes, you might see the gist of how they work, how they go. But basically, I do like an introduction first. So I want to hear a little bit more about you and just kind of what got you into the space, specifically your niche that you've chosen to go with as well. And then we'll kind of dive particular into just the typical combos that come with birth control. I think fertility awareness method. There are some questions that came in too. So we'll kind of go with that. So does that work?
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. Take it away.
Okay, so I'm Jennifer. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner. I kind of got into this space about 2 to 3 years ago through just kind of my own journey with like endometriosis, basically. So I struggled with endometriosis back in high school, so it's been about 8 or 9 years now. And just going to like the OBGYN, my mom would take me and we would just try to find answers as to like why there's this debilitating pain every month, but then it's just like one day and then it's over with for the rest of the month. And then they obviously would just try to prescribe me birth control. And at the time I was 14, I wasn't too educated on the subject. There was really no reason for me to be. But luckily I had my mom there as an advocate, and she was like, no, birth control is not happening, because she was on it when she was younger and she had horrible side effects. And she just kept pushing like, no, like, let's try to get like a different pharmaceutical. So that's the route that I would kind of took, was like, okay, I'd rather take one pharmaceutical for one day of the month rather than birth control for 365 days of the year. And then, so that was just kind of where I got into the space. Then COVID hit, I lost my job. I was in university at the time, so I was home. I had all this time on my hands. And so I was just kind of obviously spending a lot of time on Instagram, and I kind of just came across a bunch of practitioners. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. Like, what are they doing? And then I found the NTA's website, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. It's very affordable. This would be really cool to like work for myself and have clients and just help women and all that stuff. And so I graduated from there in March. And so I've been taking clients since then and just kind of niching down and stuff. And I kind of just came into the birth control and fertility awareness method niche because that was I kind of had most experience with that and felt like I can help a lot of women in that area, because with birth control, most women are just like, okay, I'm going to go to the OBGYN. I have these problems. Right. Let's just go on it. Just like blindly give me it. There's not much education around it, especially in like sex education and stuff. And the fertility awareness method, like, you kind of have to have that close second where like, okay, you're not on birth control, so what is the close second where we can learn more about our body, but also preventing that pregnancy that many women do need. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so I'm coming out with a course too about fertility or birth control, and then I'm becoming a fertility awareness educator. Next month is when the course starts. And so just kind of helping women in that area. Just I see so many women just needing it and just like being able to be the advocate for women that many women don't have.
No, I love that. I think props to your mom first and foremost for,
Yeah,
kind of already having that knowledge when that wasn't even really a topic back
right.
then. Like it was so
Yeah,
new and it was kind of more pushed. So that's really awesome that she stood her ground in that area.
yeah.
So like what did you end up kind of doing or learning during those times when you weren't using it? What kind of, route did you go? Did you just start learning about your cycle at that stage or what kind of happened?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, in high school, I really wasn't like interested in learning about it. I was just I just had like those regular period apps that say, okay, like my period is coming, which it's not always 100%, obviously, but luckily my cycle is like very 28 days. So like it
Right.
was always correct, but for many women, it's not. And unfortunately, they do rely on that. And a lot of times they're lost and confused because it doesn't always work out in their favor. So I didn't really start learning about my cycle until about 2 years ago-ish. I bought like one of those just fertility awareness thermometers.
Hmm.
It was with this one brand. I'm not going to recommend it because it was one of my first things. I just bought it. But it's one that predicts future ovulations. And so I kind of started learning about it. I'm like, okay, can't really predict a future ovulation because there's no cervical mucus. The temperature hasn't risen yet. There's none of those fertility markers that are really happening right now because you're still on your period.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah. No, I think again, like it's very complicated to, especially if you come from the birth control world, thinking about how you can successfully
Yeah,
track your own cycle and use these cues. And I had a
yeah,
conversation this weekend about it too, and I was like, it's not that bad. It's just
yeah,
you have to just be willing to learn and willing to,
yeah,
understand your body. But I think it's so empowering when you
yeah.
do. So
Yeah, and especially too like some of those just that modern society, like many women when they first hear about it and learn about it, they're like, I don't know how this is gonna work. Like when I first like got introduced to it, I'm like, okay, like I don't really know if this is gonna work, but like I'm willing to take a
mhm.
chance, I'm willing to learn some more about my body and just like see those temperatures rising and stuff too is just very intriguing to me and just learning, okay, there's estrogen, there's progesterone, it's rising, it's declining and all of that. And when women could first hear about it, they're like, yeah, I don't really know. Like I'm not sure if I can trust the system, but when you learn more about it, you start to trust it more.
Absolutely. And I think and like I said, it motivates you to want to learn about how
Yeah,
your body works. And like
exactly.
and as we've seen, like with just the holistic space in general, it's more about other markers of health than
Hmm.
just,
Yeah.
the way you look. So it's like, are you having a
Hmm.
period? Are you
Yeah, right.
actually having a body temperature that is supportive of your metabolism?
Hmm.
Those are things I never thought to consider. And then
Exactly.
it kind of can really help you tie a bunch of dots together if you're having other symptoms as well.
Exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
so when it comes to working with clients and just like, birth control in general, I've even heard of many things as well, but what are some of the top myths that you have to bust from the birth control route to kind of switching things over to more of that natural cycling and just how your body functions?
I think most women think that when they come off birth control, they're going to get pregnant right away. And also like there's that thing where people are trying to avoid pregnancy, but they're also trying to carry pregnancy. So when they're trying to carry pregnancy, they come off birth control, they find that, okay, they have to kind of heal their body for a few months and it doesn't happen right away. And then there's the women that come off birth control and they're trying to avoid it, but their body also needs to heal. So the chances are kind of a little lower because they need to get their gut back in place, some stress, some nutrients, which is, as we see a lot, birth control is lost, or nutrients are lost through taking that birth control and stuff. And so just kind of just educating them on more facts, like factual data, scientific information, rather than the stuff that they learned in sex education, which is most of the time now just outdated and just like it doesn't
Useless.
it yeah, it's useless. They use the same thing every single year. It's just like we're just going to tunnel vision this sex education information. And also, like, for me personally, men and women were in the same room, or girls and boys were in the same room. And so, like, it kind of should be girls and boys, and like, okay, what is really scientific here? Also, like, my biggest thing is women can't get pregnant every single day of their cycle. It's you drop an egg for 1 day, sperm can last inside of you up to 4 to 5 days. So you have that 5 to 6 day window, but many women think, okay, like that, when I first learned that, I was like, oh my gosh, is this real? Like, I even had to verify, like, wherever I saw it, like, do all of this research, because I was like, I did not know that. That is like, when women first hear that, they're like,
I know, mind-boggling.
yeah,
Um, no, yeah, okay. I think that's definitely some of the ones I hear as well, and it's very much again just against the standard. But I think it's so cool because you're not just throwing these things out there out of the blue. Like, this is actually how your body works, and so it's hard to
yeah,
argue it once you kind of realize,
exactly,
oh, this makes sense. This is why I've been seeing these signs, and whatever. So,
exactly,
um,
yeah,
so that all makes sense.
yeah. You
So
can't argue with biological processes.
exactly. So, for like the different forms of like non-hormonal and hormonal, birth control, like in terms of, is there a better option if someone was to choose one or the other? And then also like kind of just a quick breakdown of like the main differences and how they impact the body.
So you're talking about the ones like when you go to the OBGYN?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I would say the copper IUD is the one that's kind of like you kind of might hear of the most, and in terms of not affecting your hormones, and that I would say it's pretty much true, but at the end of the day, it kind of does, as far as it's a copper mineral status affects hormonal status. It's the spark plugs to your body, but if you were to choose one, I would kind of just say it's the copper IUD because there aren't really any hormones in it, where all of the other ones do contain a synthetic hormone. And when we're looking at those type of things, we want to say, okay, there are some synthetic hormones in here. How is my body going to how is my body going to affect this and all that stuff? And how is it going to respond? And so especially when it comes to like the pill, there's those synthetic, you can have the synthetic progesterone, synthetic estrogen, and then also in the the pills you take while you are on your cycle, there's some iron in there. And as we can see, some iron overload might happen in that context and stuff. And then there's things like the shot, which it's irreversible, but you take it, you can't just like stop taking it all of a sudden. It does stay in your system for as long as you're supposed to go until the next time you go to the OBGYN for the next one. There's also the patch, which you put it on for about 3 weeks and then you kind of replace it. And then that one also contains a synthetic estrogen or progesterone, and it goes inside of your skin barrier and through your body. And then there's also the implant, too, which you have to obviously get taken out as well. So those all contain synthetic estrogen and progesterone, where the copper IUD does not. So obviously there's different women who are in different seasons of their life. They might need something like that, and that's perfectly acceptable. That's stuff that you have to decide as a woman, just you and yourself. So if you were to go to the route of, okay, I need something permanent, maybe you're in some sort of relationship that might needs that, or you're in a very career, or you financially can't afford that, or something like that. The copper IUD would probably be the best route, but that's also something you might want to talk to a practitioner or your doctor about, or just do your own research online. Look at all of the side effects of all of them, all of the ingredients, and just kind of like look up the pros and cons of each of those.
Absolutely. No, that's a great breakdown. No, I think a lot of women get confused because they're like, oh, I'm not on the hormonal one. And it's like, well, yes, that's definitely better. But
Mm-hmm.
I think the minerals is something that's slowly becoming more of a conversation, which I'm very passionate about. But
Yeah.
when you're getting that constant surge of copper, for those listening, minerals and hormones go very hand in hand and they work synergistically. So,
Right.
it's like if you're getting all of this copper, you could, like you were saying, result in copper dysregulation,
Exactly.
overload, and you
Mm-hmm.
really need to support your body in a different way. So,
Yeah.
something that can be very supportive is to do an HTMA. It's called an
Yes.
hair tissue mineral analysis test, which allows you to look at that copper ratio and help you to kind of see where you're at. But yeah, I think women are always like, oh, I'm not on that, but so it's not affecting me. But indirectly it does. So you just have to still think about everything together.
Yeah. And like we've seen, the body is so connected, everything works together. So it's definitely going to affect that. But like you said, if you can do the HTMA analysis, that would be a really good starting point, because you can support your body while being on that, and just kind of do other things to kind of just support your body, whether it's gut health, stress, kind of just any mineral, like intaking any minerals and stuff like that, just to kind of support your body so that you don't have those like bad side effects or bad effects.
Absolutely. So on that note too, do you feel like, a lot of people too want to just like hop right off of it and kind of start, whether it's their fertility journey or whatever?
Yeah.
I always recommend, clients ease off and support their body while they're doing those things. It's not just a quick, unplug, but what are some of your top tips for women who are wanting to transition off and also support their body and do things the right way?
Yeah, so I see it probably like three different ways. Women either want to go cold turkey because they look at the side effects, or they finally are like, oh my gosh, like I don't like how this is treating my body. I don't like, many women also have been on it since like the beginning of puberty. So they're like in their 20s now and they don't know who they are without it. And so they either just want to go cold turkey, they want to like ease off of it, or they kind of just want to push it off because they're like, I'm kind of nervous, I'm kind of scared, or maybe they have like a big life event coming up. So those are kind of like the three different ways that women like try to get off of it. So as far as supporting your body with it, first route is gut health. I would recommend just kind of working on your gut health. Like different teas, aloe vera, just like those gut loving supplements, not lots of processed foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, grass-fed meats, pasture-raised meats, and then also stress is a huge one, because though that birth control is going to be a stress on your body, and so just managing any sort of stress mentally, and then also just physically, and just kind of like, my favorite way to recommend to women is meditation, because just as we can see through studies, is like just like 15 minutes of meditation is like great lengths of just wonderful health to our mind and our body, and just kind of finding different ways that you can kind of just manage a little bit of stress in your body and in your like day-to-day health in your life and stuff like that. And then another huge one is liver, just because like all of those synthetic forms of hormones that are in the birth control, our liver has to detoxify. And just with environmental toxins and diesel fuels and cleaning supplies and just household toxins and stuff like that, our body is having to overload all of those toxins in the liver. And so kind of just taking that like huge strain and lift off the liver is going to, one, be like just amazing for it, but also just like supporting it in different ways. So dandelion tea, liver, like herbs and tinctures, and then castor oil packs too is just like another huge one to just kind of like give that liver a break and just let it breathe, is just going to be really supportive to it.
No, those are great tips. I think people tend to don't think the liver has so many jobs, and it's like, liver's the MVP.
Yeah.
And I think that women don't realize that it is what detoxifies estrogen and hormones. And so it's when those estrogen dominant symptoms come into play, most of that is just clogged liver. So it's very simple things you can do, like you mentioned, like even drinking tea or whatever, raw carrots.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of doing it consistently. I think that we struggle with. But yeah, those are great tips. I definitely think if you are listening and you're wanting to get off, a lot of women want to transition right into fertility, but there is truly so much that you should try to prioritize prior to fertility, because it's not just getting pregnant. The health of your fertility is so much more than that. So
exactly.
Remembering
as we can see, like the menstrual cycle is the fifth vital sign, and so it's a report card every month of how your health looks and stuff. And so just like, so for those women too who like whatever reason they went on it, whether it's acne or PMS or cramps or anything like that, finding ways to support those different areas of whatever like health concern you have, and just like getting those steps in place beforehand so that you're not like debilitating or you're not like self-conscious or anything like that, and just like getting those steps into place beforehand so that you don't have as hard of a time coming off of it.
Absolutely, I agree. Um, okay, so let's talk about like just fertility awareness in like I think again that can be a very deep topic, but we'll
Mm-hmm.
discuss it in like a sense of what it is, what the main markers are that people can look for, and then I think ovulation is kind of like the big, obviously the main event, but also I think that can be confusing for women just in terms of how to check that, how to
Mm-hmm.
report that, those kinds of things. So if you can break that down a little bit.
Yeah. So fertility awareness method is just like there's three different markers when it comes to it. There's your basal body temperature, there's your cervical fluid, and your cervical position. And so those are all going to tell you when just kind of you're most fertile. So kind of just another debunking here, it doesn't always happen the 14th day of your cycle. It kind of just fluctuates every single month, but it is going to happen around that mid-cycle of your menstrual cycle, that mid-mark of your menstrual cycle. And so the biggest one here is going to be cervical fluid, just kind of checking every day, just kind of seeing, okay, is it slippery? Is it dry? Is it wet? Like, what is it that we're looking at? And so kind of just like marking those on an app that you have. So my favorite is Temp Drop. It's a wearable device, and you can mark all of these symptoms and all of these bodily markers that you're having that might say, okay, my fertility is coming, I'm about to ovulate. This is when you're going to feel most a lot of energy because you're having this spike in hormones, which is an amazing time to just go out and have fun and socialize and be with family and stuff, because that's when we really want to outtake our cycle there. And then also you can wear it as at night, and you don't have to like put the thermometer every day, which I know is like a huge
Mm-hmm.
complaint for women, that they have to like wake up every morning at the same time within 30 minutes to an hour, and they have babies or dogs or family or stuff like that
Plus, you
bothering
gotta
them.
leave it in your mouth for 5 minutes before you even
Yeah,
take it.
yeah.
I'm like, get me out of bed.
Yeah, so it's not really realistic in this modern day. And so the Temp Drop, it's a wearable device. It gets your average temperature throughout the night, and then it Bluetooths to your phone. It is low EMF for those who are worried about it, which is one thing that I definitely checked out before I got it. And then in the app, you can definitely see that rise and spike in estrogen and progesterone and your basal body temperature. And then if you see cervical fluid, you can note take it in the app, and it'll kind of help you decide even more if that ovulation is happening and when your peak day is happening and stuff like that. And it'll kind of do all of the work for you. But one thing I do like is it's not going to predict your ovulation, which you
Mm-hmm.
cannot really do, because it happens at a different time every month. And with just to kind of a little education in the previous one that I had, I started questioning it more and more when I was learning about it. And I'm like, hold on, I had 3 different temperatures above it, but it told me my ovulation was like way back days ago. And I'm like, this isn't adding up. The more you learn about it, the more you kind of know, okay, this might not be what I thought it was. Now, it might be a great starter point for women that just want to learn about their fertility, but not if they also want to avoid pregnancy. And so there's also a lot of different affordable ones on the market, but the different one, or the last one, is cervical position, where your cervix is. So the higher up that it is, the more chances of fertility and ovulation, and the lower your cervix is, the closer you might be to either side of your menstrual cycle.
No, yeah, I think the cervical position is one that people don't typically use, but it's
Mm-hmm.
a great marker if that's something that you want to dive into. But I use
Yeah,
the temp drop as well. It's amazing. It takes about a month to kind of
yeah,
get your algorithm going because it is based on an algorithm. But yeah, I think it's awesome, very useful, and it's so easy to see the spike, and it
yeah.
matches other signs. So I love that
Mm-hmm.
it's super user friendly.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Um,
you can, when you first use it, I can definitely see like how how much the algorithm works, because it
Mm-hmm.
definitely, like when I have that low energy during my menstrual cycle, I can definitely see that um, that temperature kind of a little decreased and after ovulation, and then I start getting to my luteal phase, I can definitely see it rising in those 3 temperatures above the line, and I'm like, okay, ovulation happened, I saw some cervical fluid, my energy levels were up, I was going, and it's just really good to see like how much you can rely on it and just like see how much it actually works.
Absolutely. And I think it's interesting too for anyone who hasn't tracked temperatures that, there are times when you might go get blood work done that needs to be done at a certain time of your cycle. Like, for example, if you're
Yes.
going to test progesterone, you need to do that after ovulation. So, knowing where you are in your cycle will only benefit you further when you're doing other
Yes.
parts to kind of get answers too. So, I think
Exactly.
that's really
Yeah,
cool.
and like a note on that, if you are going to get blood work done for the sake of your hormones, and your doctor doesn't ask, okay, what day are you in your cycle or anything like that, definitely go find a new practitioner, a new doctor, something like that, because if you are wanting those hormones to really like read them and hone in on them and just like read all the different levels of them, you do have to be in a certain time of your cycle.
Yeah, no, very, very true. So someone did ask, they just went off birth control and wanted to track ovulation. So whether ovulation sticks was an answer, and LH strips as well could be a
Yeah.
solution. But then kind of what we were talking about with really just diving deeper into tracking temperatures, starting to see patterns when you see that shift. And then if anyone is super new to this topic, oh my gosh, what is that book that I'm blanking on?
Taking charge of your fertility.
That's
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
That's a great resource for anyone wanting
Hmm.
to learn a little bit
Yes.
more. It's very in depth and very
It's a
scientific,
lot. Yeah.
but it's very informative.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to add to that question?
So yeah, I would definitely, if they are just got off birth control and they're wanting to do it right away, I would just kind of look on the market, see what your favorite is. There are a ton of different temperatures on the market. I can put like a story on later just to show everybody like what the different ones are, their pros and cons to each. There are different price marks to each one. The temp drop is the one that I found the most affordable, and the one that I'm like, okay, don't want to wake up at 6 a.m. every single day and do this. That's the last thing I really want to worry about as far as waking up and puppies and work and life and all that stuff like that. So I'll put a post of the different types of ones. Women can just check the website out. But I would definitely start just like taking your temperature right away. Whether you're gonna go buy one at Amazon that's $10 and you just want to like do it yourself on paper, you can find a graph on Taking Charge of Fertility book actually has a graph in there that you can use. And so just like start doing that right away. Like you said, the temp drop does take a month to kind of find the algorithm. If you were doing like your own temperature every single day, I would say let that take 3 to 6 months, because you aren't using an algorithm when you're doing it by yourself. And so the temperature, check for cervical fluid. You might not see cervical fluid right away after getting off birth control because you might not be ovulating right away. Just kind of feeling your cervical position. It might be going up or down depending on, again, your ovulation. And then LH strips would be a really good one here. They're relatively affordable. They're a really good way to hone in on your fertility if you are having trouble finding or learning about those other things. But I wouldn't rely on any one of these. I would do 2 to 3 of the 4 options right there to kind of hone in on your ovulation. And then just kind of like after that, you might get a period and you're like, okay, well, I didn't see ovulation happen. And so just kind of like after that period, you might start getting more periods and stuff like that. And you might start seeing more ovulatory signs, because your body is trying to heal and get rid of all of those excess hormones.
That's very helpful. Yeah, I love that. Okay, and then the last thing was someone who's recently postpartum. They still don't have their
Okay.
period back yet. So, I mean, obviously, this is a stage of healing, and you definitely need to give yourself grace. And, it's not going to necessarily take 2 months or 3 months, especially if you're breastfeeding. But
Exactly.
anything there that you can offer to support your body, besides eating enough food, reducing stress, those kinds of things that allow for a period to return.
Yeah, so like you said, there are different variables. It depends on if you are breastfeeding, because that's sending signs to the body that your body doesn't really need a period right now. But yeah, making sure you're eating lots of nourishing, I would say warm foods right now, because your body needs that temperature. Making sure too you're having a lot of like skin to skin time with your baby and stuff. Um, like for a mom that's breastfeeding, I would say like 2,500 calories probably a day. Like that's a lot of food, but your body does need that because it's not only trying to nourish yourself, but it's trying to nourish your baby. It depends on how far postpartum. We're going to assume that it's 6 weeks postpartum. Maybe just doing like light strolls or something like that. No hard workouts, but obviously listening to your doctor, seeing if they've cleared you for that. Just like light strolls. Also lots of sleep. It obviously it's hard with a baby, but just kind of like, okay, if your baby's napping, let's try to put the baby in the crib. I'm going to take a 10-minute nap or something like that. And then also just like lots of those really nourishing foods. So what that might look like is bone broths, lots of medicinal teas, maybe raw milks if you can tolerate it, different sourdoughs, lots of fruits, organic vegetables, grass-fed meats, pasture-raised chickens, and then also our blood sugar, making sure that we're getting protein, fat, and a carb in every meal. And obviously that can look different for every single woman, but just making sure that at the end of the day, we're just nourishing our body so that we can nourish our baby.
Look at that answer. So chock full of info. No, I think women just, especially in this day and age, women want to have a baby, get back to their weight, and like
Yeah.
it's just a lot of pressure to do
Yeah.
all those things at once, and you have to just realize I'm in a different stage of life, and like you said, nourishing your body well will do you so much good, and there will never be honestly too much. I mean, you can overeat, but not normally is not the issue. It's more, we're under eating, we're over exercising, we are like stressed out. So it's very simple things, but remembering those basics and foundations go a long way.
For sure. Yeah.
Well, this was an awesome episode.
Yeah.
You're super informative, and I love following
Thank you.
along, and
Yeah.
I wish you the best with all of that you're about to do with your business. So before we go, share with the audience where they can find you, how they can support you and stay connected moving forward.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, Balanced with Jay, and then my website where I have all my information about taking clients and my future course. And also, I actually forgot to mention I have a free guide about the side effects of birth control. So like an in-depth sheet of every single birth control and each side effect that may be along with it. So that's on my website, rootedinwellnessnutrition.com. And so those are the two places best to find me and contact me.
Perfect. Well, I appreciate it, Jen, and I look forward to keeping up via, where are you located, by the way?
The Chicagoland area.
Okay, nice. Is it cold area?
It was the past 2 days. Yesterday, it's about 67 in our house right now because I'm not turning the heat on yet. But it was yesterday. You needed like coat, jacket, boots.
Oh, wow.
But today I think it's going to be a little warmer, like 70 and then 80 tomorrow. So definitely felt a little fall yesterday, but back to a little summer today and tomorrow and the rest of the week.
Yeah, I know the weather's always just like all over the place.
Yeah.
I'll take what I can get. But
yeah, right.
Awesome. Well, have a great rest of your day, and I'll
Thank
post it
you.
to my feed for anyone that wants to go back and watch.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.